So, how does your doctor or doctors fit into this picture? What are they likely to think? Well, I have had one conventional MD laugh at me when I presented AIP, but several others just nodded. And I'm never sure they know what I am doing. It's a mystery. I bring in one of my books the first time I see any doctor. They don't really have time to talk about it. All I had one say was yes to my choice of organic food. Another said, "Your antibodies are rising. How is the diet going?" In all these years, they haven't said much. It's really their actions that give them away. You'll need to choose whether to educate your doctor or not. Some will already know about AIP. Make this easy on yourself. They don't have to be on board for you to heal. Don't be surprised if they laugh. Consider yourself lucky if they don't. Nutrition research is very difficult and sometimes it's conflicting, so doctors just don't know what to expect. I'm providing some key research in the downloadables that you can share. One found 73% remission rate with changes to 300 intestinal genes. So it's rebuilding your body. This remission rate rivals any drug, and many drugs stop working after a few months. And the diet has no toxicity. Your doctor is on your team, but they may want to quarterback. This is your body. This is your experience. You are the star here. No one knows how their body responds better than the patient. Your doctor may want to just sit on the bench. They're tired. This is why you go into every appointment with an agenda. You have a list at the grocery. Bring your list to the doctor. You know that's how things get done. Your doctor won't be a cheerleader. We can't expect the doctor to cheer, and that's why we ask for support from our social circle. I've seen people start the AIP journey 100% on their own, but eventually they recognize the power of community. The doctor won't ever tell you the whole truth. And really, most are not trying to influence your experiment with any pro or con position. They know the power of their influence. They also don't want you to feel like a failure if you can't get the resources together to make the changes. I think they feel some compassion for us, but they have a limited role. Your doctor may be struggling themselves. I've seen this many, many times. The most shocking experience was when I went to the doctor of gastroenterology, that's a digestion doctor, and he was obese. His only recommendation was to try omega 3s. Well, that's a special kind of fat, and yes, we do bump those up inside of AIP, but that's like 5% of AIP. That's not enough. He was obviously struggling with health. I chalk it to our healthcare system not being about wellness. Just recognize their role. Use them for what they are good at. I even went to one practice for testing and then to another practice for prescription. Get inventive with your solutions. Ask for help, but also know that you drive the solution. I will also add I had one doctor with functional medical training that wanted me to go vegetarian. That means no meat, sometimes no animal proteins. This felt crazy to me as I've been responding so well to AIP. I could actually feel the difference in energy between a week with liver and a week without. She also didn't understand how hormones could affect me. I honestly didn't have the education on hormones back then, so I couldn't educate her. So even though I loved her thoughtfulness, her bedside manner, her attention to detail, I had to follow my intuition and just leave the practice. Sometimes it's a gut feel like that. Your experience is all that matters, and you should know that I will always honor that. Always. Now, here is a story that will really surprise you. This client didn't know anything about AIP when we met. However, she felt that karma had brought us together. We had a few sessions to work out her feelings on recovery and answer questions. She created all her own solutions, and they are listed here on the slide. Her autoimmune condition involved paralysis. At one point, we were working on organizing her human support system. She laughed out loud when I asked if her doctor was in her nurturing network of support. She didn't really think of him as supportive, as she'd been with him 7 years and had never heard that diet could help. Her drug treatment cost her $15,000 a month and was crippling her for days. She is one of the reasons that I'm including the AIP diet in this training. If you know it exists, you have options. This diet has no toxicity like the expensive drugs. This client was especially motivated, and she went from having hand tremors and feet shuffling back to an active life without the harsh drugs. It was another incredible thing to witness. Her encore act was actually having a baby after she recovered. This was amazing, as this was part of her original wellness vision. One question that really moved her along was, what is the benefit to staying sick? She thought for a minute. I could feel her turning this idea over. Then she answered, nothing. She had gotten used to being sick. She had this elaborate network of people helping her with all the physical things she could no longer do. This question brought her to a decision point to actually experiment with diet. Ask yourself the same question. What is the benefit to being sick? The answer will highlight your real beliefs and feelings. It might show you how your thinking is shaping or limiting your actions. You might be wondering, what about testing? I will share a secret with you. Most of the AIP certified coaches do not rely on any test results to move the client forward in healing. We can coach you through an AIP experiment without much nutrient or allergy testing at all. In fact, we know that the test results will change based on your nutrient load and lifestyle. So we are just looking for a general increase in nutrient intake and a reduction in inflammatory foods and toxins. I know that seeing results on paper can be motivating and informing, but trust how your body feels first and foremost. Several times when my test results looked bad, the doctor admitted they just changed the lab process and he didn't even trust the results. Testing is an imperfect science. Use it only to motivate yourself. How you feel matters most. So, what about you? Can you experiment with diet and forgo the testing? So, here are some obvious issues with tests. It's just an estimate, a snapshot, not a true trend unless you test over time. It can be expensive. Functional medicine doctors that overtest are forcing a spend of $3,000 to $5,000. And often fancy tests lead to fancy treatments that you can forego if you both change diet and manage hormones. You have to ask, will it change my behavior? Will the test improve my diet? Maybe your energy should go elsewhere. Another thing about tests is there are over 50 nutrients to track. This leaves out precious phytonutrients, cofactors, and undiscovered nutrients. There is a lot we don't know about nutrition. It's a relatively new science, and it's hard to keep people on a rigid diet definition. If we lean into food variety on AIP, we get most of the things we know we need and some of the things we don't yet know we need. Keep in mind that testing could actually slow your progress because it distracts from simple solutions of food, movement, stress management, and toxin reduction. For example, some digestive issues get harsh antibiotics treatment. For one pathogen condition, the doctors know that the antibiotics don't work. They don't work well. It takes 4 rounds of antibiotics with major side effects for most people, and then the issue still isn't cured. You could even develop dangerous antibiotic resistance with only the strongest pathogen left in your body. It turns out that certain common plants like onion and garlic keep that particular pathogen under control. But you won't hear this from your doctor. When you look to AIP and supporting hormones, you can avoid these problems. So let's assume you are doing hormone testing too. You are testing thyroid hormones, estradiol, progesterone, testosterone. How does food affect that? Well, let's just say we have dozens of estrogen forms in the body. We link cancer to a poor ratio between two of these estrogens. Normally, there is a smooth flow from one estrogen to another. However, we know that some tumors also create hormones. This is why we always test. Now, it may be confusing that some cancers are less common in HRT users, like colon cancer. Another way to keep estrogens in friendly forms that your cells need is to eat cruciferous veggies like broccoli and cabbage. There are many types of these veggies, and it would be easy to get a cup or two each day. Another anti-cancer element of cruciferous veggies is called sulforaphane, and this type of food is a natural detoxifier. Our estrogens are moving in a dance. Balancing all the elements of health will keep them in the non-cancer promoting forms. Keep in mind we want healthy estrogen metabolism, so limiting saturated fats and sugar can be very helpful too. AIP doesn't really focus on saturated fats too much, and sat fat isn't usually an issue when balanced with vegetables. But sugar is out on AIP. AIP also removes the most common plant estrogens, so as to avoid blocking the work of your estrogen, be it HRT or made in your body. Don't forget to check out the downloadables for this section. There is some key information on why we choose food over supplements. So, how do we go about this major change? Whether you tackle this as a do it yourself or join a program, you can consider the process circular, with each step designed by you to fit in your life at the time. You are the designer here. This is a new identity. It's helpful to recognize that. Most clients feel it's empowering. They are ready to let go of a doctor driven process and move towards self reliance. AIP, or any diet improvements for that matter, puts you in the driver's seat. Rigid plans defined by someone else aren't sustainable usually, but it can be a place to start. All of us who have followed AIP evolve to it over time. We learned as we go. You have the option now to go very quickly. I didn't have the option 10 years ago because the AIP diet wasn't even published until 2014. How to make change generally? Well, here are some rules. Recognize the psychological factors like your personal beliefs. Recognize any emotional roadblocks. Educate yourself only enough to take action. Some people just read a few pages in the simple guide and they are off like a rocket. Know that you will need to arrange some rewards to manage your own motivation. What has motivated you before? Design the experiments that you really believe have a chance of working. Let go of the ideas that you have doubts about. Give the experiment a few weeks and then evaluate the change. I had one client see results in only a few weeks, once 100% on the protocol. She hadn't even noticed that she was feeling better. I just asked, "What's different?" And she realized she had improvements in digestion, pain, fatigue, depression, and even some weight loss. How did she get there? Well, she shopped at the food bank. She didn't even have financial resources, but she found a way. Her personal motivation was seeking a testimony for God. Neither of us could have predicted how fast she could make those changes. In fact, it took her a couple of months to change her shopping, cooking, and food prep. In those few days, her body gave her the feedback she needed to connect food to symptoms. Once the connection was made, she began to work out a sustainable plan. She was even able to avoid a second knee surgery that year because her inflammation and pain was under control. So many nice surprises for this client in just a few weeks. I will say that peer led online support groups on Facebook are great when your design only needs tweaking, but it can give a false sense of security. Without a true mentor or coach with a deep understanding of all your issues and options, you will make slow progress out of a rut. Recognize if you are in a rut. Is your life missing some major component? Is there some wish for your future that seems unattainable because of health? Have you tried experiments in different elements of health? Are you out of ideas? Get professional help at these crossroads in the journey. You can't really see through your blind spots. That is why we call them blind spots. We all have them. It's natural to have them, and your progress can stall because of them. A good coach will help you through the beliefs that are holding you back. They encourage creative problem solving, and they provide a safe space to work out the details. So let's revisit the idea that everything affects everything. I guess if there's any mantra for this training, this is it, along with you are the expert on you. Let's talk specifically how nutrients affect hormones, because we've already walked through a lot of the detail on each of those. Resolving this list of vitamins and mineral deficiencies are known to boost hormones. Of course, this works only for someone that has adequate hormone producing organs. After menopause, this is essentially the adrenals and the skin. So, nutrients would work if the adrenals and skin are very high functioning. Once again, supplementing hormones with HRT might be necessary for optimal health. We can't always eat our way out of the problem. Think of nutrients as signaling work within the body. Can you imagine a little orchestra conductor making musical health in the body? Nutrients most likely work as signals. They need cholesterol to travel throughout the body and do the work. If you have issues with mitochondria or any adrenal damage, that could keep your nutrients from boosting hormones. If you have mitochondrial diseases in your family, this might be a sign that you need more than average nutrients. Increasing magnesium level will enhance your sleep. Nutrition enhances energy for exercise, which then enhances sleep. Estradiol enhances nutrient absorption, which then enhances hormone production, enhancing mental health, and then improving relationships. It's all circular. And then toxins destroy just about everything. Any changes you make here will help in both the short term and the long term. We will work on pulling our family and friends into our plan once we are certain of the effects. There is more joy to come. Making this easy. A few pointers. If your food reactions are basically changing how you live, you might ask, how can you help that beyond doing the AIP diet? Well, get on those hormones. You can also use a digestive aid like NOW Super Enzymes. Remember that bile included there recirculates all over the body and is an anti-infective. Work on stress. Now, stress management makes it seem like work. So if just figuring out points of stress and working on those will help, do that. Sleep enhancing activities are critical too. Check out our downloadable on sleep hygiene. So much could be happening in your life right now that this all looks overwhelming. Let's take a 60-second break, breathe, think happy thoughts. Don't think you need to change every element of health simultaneously. This course is only foundational. This course moves your understanding along a path to wellness. Follow your intuition to get to a starting point. Make small experiments where you are very confident of doing well and finding joy. Challenge yourself to make this fun. Here's a bit of detail to show common resources and tools. Once again, I don't know what you are ready for personally. I have had clients that actually took a work leave of absence to recover their health. Ironically, this one woman worked in healthcare. One other client was menopausal, but also working part time in a moldy hen house as her hobby. Imagine the stress on her body, breathing in mold every day. The things we start while we are younger can be really hard on our body without hormones. You'll be happy to know that she kept the hobby, but she added a filtering mask to reduce the mold exposure. This slide just has examples of ways most of us adjust to the nutrition change. Take a moment here and study this. There are lots of solutions out there just waiting for you. So, how do we move our money around when we become a healer with food? If you are eating out a lot, your budget might actually shrink. There are some other ideas on this slide, but I think universally, most of us eat fewer calories because we are actually full on protein and fiber. So weight loss just happens. If you keep with this, you will lose a few sizes and then be able to wear your clothes for many years. No more need to size up. Most of my clients discontinue many medications. We work on this explicitly. I guide them on how to collaborate with their doctor. Here are the kinds that are usually stopped. Getting HRT at the same time as AIP will help cholesterol, blood pressure, sleep, and mood. So, those are the types of drugs that are usually dropped. It's an all around solution. When you feel better, of course, you have more days to work. That's more income for many of us. Think for a moment how your life will change when you are feeling well. How will work improve for you? How will leisure improve? And how will relationships improve? It does help to occasionally evaluate the costs of your current condition. There are so many things that we don't even take the time to think about. Maybe it's too depressing to think about. We just continue doing what we've always done, not realizing we can dial down our symptoms and our expenses. We could even simplify our life. Maybe the quiet in the spring of 2020 gave you some time to see things differently. It certainly had an impact on me. We aren't planning on a new diagnosis, but if we continue on this processed food path, we are likely to get one. Think for a minute about your goals for leisure time. Are you spending life the way you want to? And lastly, are you tired of being a patient instead of a person? Are you feeling worn down by this? Are you ready to trade it in for a life of energy and options? Well, when you are, whole food diets and AIP are there for your experiment. Your doctor might be directing your diet solution. They might not really be sure if it will work for you. Now that you know about AIP, you can chime in about how diets might help. How else can your doctor get involved in your diet solution if AIP is your diet experiment? Doing AIP, you might find that conventional treatments, your medications, are actually working better. As I've said before, AIP had a 73% remission rate for the IBS, the people that had intestinal issues, in 2017 study. It actually changed gene expression. So it turned genes on and off, changing the structure and function of the body. An MD can help you look at damaging autoantibodies and see where they are falling or they are eliminated. This happens a lot, actually. An MD can help you watch inflammation markers, your blood sugar levels, hormone levels, cholesterol, liver function, and even nutrient status. Now, this is everyone's favorite. An MD can help you discontinue medications. So this is a collaboration with your doctor. There may be reasons to discontinue by reducing the dose gradually, or you may need hormones to get there. Look into the HRT. Remember that drugs do not have to prove that they do not hurt your cognition unless they make a claim to improve your cognition. It's not fair, but drugs can be hurting your mental abilities. And that's the way our system works. An MD can help you delay or avoid surgery. I love when this happens. The pain of inflammation disappears, and now it seems that certain surgeries are just not needed. An MD can get you the hormone therapy that you need. This helps you to fight infections. Back to our old friend, COVID-19. The AIP diet balances hormones but doesn't always help those with hormone organ damage. Then there's the challenge of keeping your hormones in friendly forms so that you don't get an estrogen-driven disease. An MD might even be able to help you troubleshoot your AIP plan, but a certified autoimmune protocol coach can also help. There is a directory online at Autoimmune Wellness. You might feel betrayed by your provider. Do your best to get over that. Once again, you move faster and are more creative when you drop the negativity and you adopt positive thinking. So here is another way to save money on healthcare. When you are feeling better, you no longer need to see a specialist. In my case, I stopped using an endocrinologist and moved my thyroid management to my primary care doctor. He was really interested in my diet too. So you can see here my copay moved from $70 to $30. Every visit became less expensive. I had fewer doctor visits in total and no wait at my primary care doctor. I can multiply this savings by 40 years. This type of change might be a shock to your system, especially for those of us that have been at a specialist for decades. You might be able to drop that relationship and walk independently for the first time in years. That might lighten your step. You are not the person that ruins every vacation for the family anymore. You won't have to drop out of an important activity to take care of disease. Everything can become manageable and you can get on with your life. This is really what happened to me. I have walked this path and I have a life I really look forward to. That's why I'm sharing this here. What about meat-free and animal-free diets? Well, these are food philosophies, and you have your particular journey on how you think about food. I am a no judgment coach. You are making your own decisions here. There are no food prescriptions from me and no meal plans. You may come to AIP from a meat-free, fish-free, broth-free environment, and the lack of those nutrients often brings people to AIP. Animals, again, have what you need to build your own animal tissue. There is an option to eat less animal with AIP. You have to evaluate the nutrients of the different plant forms, and then hopefully your body will convert those to your animal form. What did you learn that was new to you? What did you learn that could have a profound impact on your life? What did you learn that could motivate you? How could you prepare for a nutrition experiment? What current resources could be swapped out to acquire new and stronger resources? How will your learning today save time? How will your learning today save money? Who in your life is really caring and supportive? These are your people. They see you. They know you. What support roles could your people take on while you experiment with healing and nutrition? How would you describe your healing experiment to your people? What obstacles can you predict if you move forward with nutrition changes? What would be the first change you would make? What change would you do immediately before you do anything else? What change would you need to do before you sleep tonight? What change could you make in the next 24 hours? Let's make a goal then. What goal makes sense in your life right now, at this moment? Make it anything that you would like to do in the next 7 days. What goal can you set as a result of your learning? We try to make our goals SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, results, and actually reward oriented, and time based. Making your goal specific is the who, what, when, where, and why of your goal. Measuring it, assign dates, assign resources, get it on your calendar, make it attainable. Make sure you have a very high confidence level in this particular goal. If not, rewrite the goal or realign resources. Make it results oriented. Make sure it's crystal clear when your goal is complete. Make it time based. Detail out the steps and get that on the calendar. Now you have a plan. Let me just sidestep a little bit here because everything impacts everything. First, HRT, nutrition, walking, and getting away from fumes in a brand new house all made a huge noticeable difference in my health way back in 2011. I call it a health bump. With a health bump, you get a big chunk of your life back. This is something you can feel within a few weeks once you get the resources in place. You can feel it, you can't miss it. Let me throw in my personal story here. I found AIP after coming back to the US after living in Santiago, Chile for 2 years. In Chile, I had unlimited access to my HRT, and I was at a pretty high dose of estradiol. I felt fantastic. Here I am on vacation with my family. This event was an entire day of hiking through a river and a canyon. It's hard to look at this and believe I am someone with an autoimmune disease. When I came back to Ohio, my HRT dose was dramatically lowered by my new doctor. I didn't realize this could make such a difference. This made for what we call an autoimmune flare. I just could not function. I went to many doctors and really didn't get my energy back until I took on AIP. Then I began to explore and actually study hormones. It still took me a while to figure out how HRT was providing support. Anyway, you can see from my list on the left of this slide that it takes quite a bit of hormone support. But this is how I live a vibrant life, a happy life, one that gets me excited every day. I do all this with conventional MDs, no functional medicine or integrative medicine, just a primary care doctor and an OBGYN. It turns out that my formula is very close to Dale Bredesen's dementia recovery plan. I have to agree, as my cognitive skills are pretty strong. I only recently went back to university coursework, taking some classes on the graduate level. In one biology class, I scored the highest grade in the class with one other student, and many of these students had just taken AP biology in high school. I am also the only woman my age in the sciences at this university. So something is really working here. Now, let me touch on a few other elements of health before closing. So, on movement, there's a lot of science behind movement, but I won't go into that here. I'll save that for a future lesson. Walking 60 minutes daily and moving for about 10 minutes every hour or so has proved to be enough for me. This is immune supportive. You will get a deeper sleep and an energy bump from this alone. I combine this with nature, a walk with a friend, or a podcast. I have even coached a phone session on a walk. If I combine walking with another activity, I am more likely to do it. On nature, nature can hold us together in many ways. It makes us live in the moment. It pushes away the hectic world and we can focus on our immediate surroundings. It's a pure serenity booster. On positivity and healing relationships, I've said before that negative repetitive thoughts mean low hormones. You can get help here with HRT, nutrition, and other mind spirit elements like meditation, gratitude journaling, deep breathing, laughter, yoga, exercise, stretching, self affirmations, and even giving affirmations. Since our relationships are broadly strained or even broken in menopause, I teach affirmations in my membership community. You will learn how to affirm and reflect your family. You will open channels of communication and empathy. I like to say that every member becomes a coach. Building understanding with our families goes a long way towards recovery. On toxin reduction, your changes here can be really fast. For example, switching to water and vinegar cleaning solution or cleaning less. Or they can be kind of slow, like selling your new house because the fumes are too much. Off-gassing is real, and it will suppress the action of your hormones. We get involved in new homes and remodels because there is less maintenance and things look cleaner or beautifully designed. But our bodies often can't manage that. It's physiologically overwhelming. Most of us underestimate this when we are buying a new home. But once you have relief from it, you won't go back. We know from animal studies that just a very small amount of injected BPA plastic will change an animal's sexual and parenting behavior. The animals are no longer empathetic, socially connected, or nurturing. It is really frightening. This means no plastic bottles or containers, no BPA lined cans. Avoid a new car full of plastic fumes. You know the drill. It's hard to keep our lives clean of this stuff, but the fact is that it's hurting us socially. And that means it's based on hormones again. Let's change our relationship with healthcare. Let's just say that a pill for every ill strategy has gotten us into an echo chamber. We treat prescriptions and supplements like they are the answer to health. In reality, these elements need to be evaluated more logically. They might be good or bad for us at any given time. Drugs, not the identical hormone supplements, usually block a natural pathway in your body. Drugs are usually a single molecule. Drugs can't compete with thousands of good molecules in food. Whatever drugs do does not usually make you stronger, and in many cases, it makes you weaker overall. I mentioned before that 38 drugs actually cause lupus autoimmune disease, and subtypes of lupus will kill you. Steroid drugs like prednisone cause dementia, diabetes, and infection. They block your immune function at these high doses, yet they give you a buzz and make you feel superhuman. That's going to be hard to stop. And what about the opioid crisis? So many pharma companies lied to the FDA and then again to doctors about the addictive qualities of opioids. You do see this creates a permanent revenue stream for pharma. They take our money, then they take our lives. We are still working on recovering from this. So every time a pill goes into your mouth, question it. Become the captain of your ship and steer yourself to your real best interests. Look up each and every one of your medications on the FDA website. Look for adverse effects and the post-marketing reports. Any drug could be causing symptoms for you. Remember that your blood pressure will start to normalize after even one evening of exercise, and your blood sugar will start to normalize in days just by eliminating sugar. Your body wants to be normal. It bounces back really fast. You will notice throughout the presentation, I use the term hormone supplement, not hormone drug. That's because although these are manufactured, these are different. These are low toxic, identical molecules to what you once made. These molecules do not block a pathway in your body. They facilitate many pathways or activities within your body, just like nutrients. We have supported hormones for over 100 years, and we are getting better at this. But many of our doctors have been sold on the non-hormonal solutions with a false belief that supplemental hormones are generally dangerous. And yes, you want to be careful not to overdose. With hormone supplements, you should feel like your younger, vibrant self. You can actually feel fabulous when you add all the elements of health. Prevention is where my energy goes. So, how can our membership community help you? Well, in my experience, women in transition make the biggest changes. You know, it's crazy. Transitions are the most stressful times. But a lot of times, this means our social circle is disruptive and social pressures can disappear. So, if you have had a major change in your life, this might be your time to continue learning about menopause and lining up your experiments to create recovery. The women in the membership keep each other focused. We don't focus on products because I'm an independent coach following the ethics of a health and wellness coach. I don't sell products, I sell education and coaching. Basically, I motivate your own agenda. There isn't anyone pushing their agenda on you. This way, you are treated uniquely as the individual that you are. We practice self compassion, we practice mindfulness, we approach change as an experiment. We ask about your goals. It's all self generated. There are no specific assignments here. We share resources and experiences. You will find mentors and buddies. I promise you that you won't find me dictating answers to you. I will be teaching you to find information that moves you along your journey. There is always a weekly Q&A for a touch base with me. We break into small groups for discussions. This is a new kind of experience, one that is designed beautifully for building your personal path to recovery without the expense of one-on-one coaching. We use the social support of community to help you find your personal recovery. You are the expert on you. Your peers in our community are there to celebrate your gains. This accountability strengthens your resolve. We also share tips and tricks to maintaining motivation, as well as practical aspects of managing our families and staying focused on health. We live in a very complex world right now. I know it has been hard on everyone. Our expectations are thrown out the window. But these are the times where we can make dramatic changes. This is the time to question everything, make change, be wild, discover love, and live your story. You should have answered over 50 coaching questions by this point. You have the makings of a plan. So I have one final coaching question for you. What will you do